Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Mindy here, and today I wanted to tune in with a few Mother's Day fragrance options. Mother's Day is coming up on May 9th, and so if you're interested in getting your mom a fragrance or a mom that you know in your life, please stay tuned. I've got some really nice options for you. I did try to focus on fragrances that are generally mass appealing, generally likable. That way you're more inclined to have your mother appreciate and like your fragrance gift. Now, before I go further, a couple housekeeping items, a little bit of a disclaimer. First, if your mom is a fragrance enthusiast, you may need to scope out her wants list on Fragrantica, do a little bit more digging for her, because these are popular, common fragrances that a lot of people might like, but she may already have these. And if that's the case, I suggest you do a little bit more research into what your mom might like. Second, fragrance is an amazing gift, but it is subjective and it's very personal. So not everybody is gonna like the same fragrances. And so with that in mind, I've gotten people gifts before that were fragrances that they didn't love. So that's always gonna be a risk. And if you feel your mom's not really into fragrance or the mom that you're looking to buy for, I would consider chocolates. Who doesn't love chocolates? Or flowers, something along those lines. Me personally, I always ask not to buy flowers if it's gonna be really expensive because flowers die, and I just love the idea of having more fragrance in my collection. But that's me, and that's, again, like I said, very personal. Third, speaking as a mom, all you want in life is your children to be happy, you want them to be content, you want them to be successful. And so speaking from that angle, you do not have to feel compelled to buy your mom or a mom in your life a specific gift. You don't need to shower them with presents. A simple thank you, mom, will do. An afternoon at lunch, just time will do. You can give your mom 5 thank yous. Thank you for always being there for me. Thank you for showing up to all my games and cheering in the stands. Thank you for loving me unconditionally. Those sorts of things. Those are free 99. They cost you nothing, and any mom is gonna love to hear how much she's meant in your life. And then lastly, I got a little carried away in my last video with Mother's Day, and while I do think it's special and important to share with moms how much they mean to you, at the same token, I fully recognize there are people that experience sadness, or they struggle, or they have heartache on Mother's Day. And if that's you, my heart goes out to you. I feel for you, and I'm thinking of you. So without further ado, let's jump into the fragrances that I think would be amazing gifts for Mother's Day. Now, first up is Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming. And this is a fragrance that I only have a decant for at the moment, but one that I wanted to get for both my mom and my mother-in-law. So if you guys are watching, maybe you should have tuned out by now. Spoiler alert, you're getting a gift and it's gonna be Miss Dior. So yeah, this is beautiful. It's feminine, it's alluring, it's done in a sophisticated way. So there's some fruitiness to this, there's raspberry in here, there's white musk, and it dries down to just a beautiful fragrance. This is one that I mentioned before, I think would be a beautiful wedding day fragrance, but I also think it would be an excellent gift for a mom on Mother's Day. I can't see anyone smelling this and saying, wow, I don't like that. It's generally crowd pleasing, and I think of this as being comforting, approachable, and one that a mother would really enjoy. Okay, the next fragrance is Elizabeth Arden White Tea, and this is generally an aromatic, fresh type fragrance, and it sort of smells like a spa. If your mom is into fresh fragrances, this might be one that you want to consider buying for her. The bonus to this one is that it's fairly inexpensive, but I also think it's mass appealing and one that many moms would really enjoy. If you're looking for a fresh, crisp scent for your mom, definitely consider this one. I will give a little bit of a disclaimer here. I recently hauled this fragrance, and White tea wasn't exactly my cup of tea. I like it, but I don't love it. And I'm generally wearing fragrances at this point that I love, but that's also because this doesn't really fall into the genre that I generally gravitate to, which is sort of sweet, heavier gourmands. So keep that in mind. My tastes are gonna be different than your taste, than your mom's taste, so that's something to consider. This is a great fragrance. That is White Tea by Elizabeth Arden. Okay, here we go. You knew I had to bring in the La Nuit Trésors for this particular video because I love them. These are fantastic fragrances. So by the House of Lancôme, all of them are different. So this isn't like a lot of other, base fragrances with flankers that all smell sort of the same. These are all different to my nose, and I'll share some of those differences with you really quickly and give you my opinion from most mass appealing to least mass appealing. They're all appealing to me, but I want to give them in that order for consideration for you if this is a line that you're considering getting your mom or one of the moms in your life for Mother's Day. Now, first up is La Nuit Trésor Nude, and I've spoken about this in my channel before, so I won't spend a lot of time here. This is a lovely fragrance. I think it's beautiful. If your mom likes coconut, if she likes fairly light fragrances, this is one that you should consider. This is not your typical beachy coconut fragrance. It is more sophisticated than that, in my opinion. And it's one that you can wear anytime, any place. Very much could be a signature scent for somebody. Now, I love how this one wears on the skin. I've mentioned the coconut in here is really beautiful, and it's soft, but it's very rich, if that makes sense. So it warms up on the skin in a way that makes it very alluring and one that I think a mom would love. La Nuit Trésor Nude. The next that I'll talk about is La Nuit Trésor à la Folie, and this is my favorite from the line. And this is one of my all-time fragrances, period. It's alluring, it's intoxicating to my nose. It has pink pepper at the top, it has a series of notes, some floral notes in the mid, in the heart, and then at the base you get bourbon vanilla, benzoin, tonka bean, patchouli, and nutmeg, surprisingly. These notes work incredibly in this fragrance. Bourbon vanilla is a standout note that I always seem to enjoy in fragrances, and it's fantastic in this one. I am an addict of this fragrance. It was not a love at first sniff, so I will put that out there, but it grew on me very quickly after I wore it for a while, and I definitely recommend considering this one. This is one of the first fragrances that I ever bought a backup bottle for because I don't want to go without this in my collection. That is La Nuit Trésor à la Folie. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the original La Nuit Trésor. And this one has a little bit more sweetness than some of the others do. It has patchouli, it has incense, lychee, praline, vanilla, caramel. So it's very sweet. It has sort of a smokiness to it. It's got woods and florals in here, and it's very beautifully done. One thing I'd say about this fragrance is that some people might consider this more of a nighttime fragrance. I don't exactly consider it that. I wear this during the day, I wear it during the evening. I think you can wear this fragrance anytime, any place. I think it's a great one. I really enjoy it, and I think it would be lovely for a mom. I did get this for my mom in the past, and I'll say that she enjoys it and my dad really loves it. So men seem to appreciate this fragrance. It is sweet, and that might be why, but that's something to think about when you're considering this fragrance. Again, that is La Nuit Trésor by Lancôme. The last one that I'll touch on here is La Nuit Trésor Musc Diamant, and this is one that I recently added to my collection. It's soft, but it's stunning. There is a lot of musk in this fragrance, but I'm really enjoying this one. For me, what I think is balancing it out is that raspberry note. It ties in beautifully with the musk notes, and I just think it's beautiful. I sprayed this once in a room and just was intoxicated when I went back in the room. I added this last of all the La Nuit Trésors simply because I don't know how mass appealing musk is considered to be, But if your mom likes musk, if she likes raspberry, if she likes those soft but sweet type fragrances, this is one you should probably consider. But also this might be a try before you buy, maybe not blind buy worthy for everyone. Something to consider, again, La Nuit Trésor Musc d'Amande. Another one that I've talked about on my videos before, I will not spend a lot of time here, is Lancôme La Vie Belle, and this is Soleil Cristal. This is a fairly new release, so there's a possibility your mom or the mom that you want to buy for doesn't have this in her collection, but it's basically the foundational La Vie Belle DNA with added coconut. The white florals tend to be a little heavy in here, and I love that about it. This fragrance I find to be alluring, very likable, crowd pleasing, and it puts me in a joyful, happy mood. So if that's something you wanted to consider for your mom, if you like that La Vie Belle character, this is one to consider for your mom. It is La Vie Belle Soleil Cristal. All right, so in the spirit of classy, elegant, sophisticated fragrances that might fit really well for a mom, I wanted to bring up Mon Guerlain, and this happens to be the Sensuelle version, but I generally think a lot of the Mon Guerlains would be beautiful for a mom. These are generally comforting fragrances to me, and so I think that mindset works very well when you're thinking about a Mother's Day gift. This fragrance is slightly heavy on the lavender, but it's got a lot of other notes in the composition that balance that out. It's got Tahitian vanilla, tonka bean, benzoin, and patchouli, and this is just a beautiful fragrance. Again, this is another one that was not a love at first sniff. I sort of had to acclimate to this one. I had to get familiar with it, and when I did, I really loved it. I like the way it makes me feel. I like the way it makes me feel comforted, and this is sometimes one that I'll wear before bedtime just to sort of calm down, and one that would be lovely for a mother. So that is Mon Guerlain. This is the Sensuelle version by Guerlain. All right, this is the portion of the video where I just wanted to call out a couple fragrances that are a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit warmer, a little bit more sensual, and I'll talk about these here briefly. The first one is La Belle Les Parfums, and this is a beautiful fragrance. I actually prefer this to the original La Belle, and this is a really fantastic release in 2021. I do pick up the underlying DNA from the original La Belle, but this one takes a different direction for me. It's warmer, it's cozier, it has more depth, it has more character, and I am a huge fan of tonka bean and fragrances. It works beautifully here. This is what I wanted the original La Belle to be. It's very alluring to me, and while I like the original, this one just stands out to me. This would be an incredible gift for a mom, but I would make sure she likes those maybe darker, deeper scents. It's sweet, so all considerations for this one, but overall I think this is a really enjoyable, likable fragrance. That is La Belle Les Parfums by Jean Paul Gaultier. Now next up is a fragrance I've never spoken about on my channel yet. This is Modern Muse Nuit, and this is one that I never hear talked about. I don't know why that is, but I bought it for two reasons. First, I was really in love with Coco Mademoiselle Intense, and I noticed that this one had some of the same base notes, tonka bean, vanilla, patchouli, musk. And early in my fragrance journey, I somehow correlated that if this had the same base notes as Coco Mademoiselle Intense, that it would be along the same lines in terms of fragrance profile. To me, it does not smell like that, but another reason I was intrigued by it is because people thought it was more of a darker Mon Guerlain, and I completely agree with that. Oh, I think this is a fantastic fragrance. Again, I'm so surprised. I never hear anyone talking about this, but if you think the original Mon Guerlain is too sparkling, or you think the Intense version is too heavy, this is one you might want to check out because I think it's really nice. It dries down beautifully. This is one that some people might consider to be more of a nighttime fragrance. The Nuit term may give that away, but I personally wear this anytime, any place. I've been enjoying it lately. Definitely would enjoy this on a night out if I get one soon, but overall speaking, this is one a mother who might like deeper, darker fragrances might really enjoy. If I recall correctly, this one was fairly affordable as well, and I got a small bottle along with the big bottle, which is great. Just one to consider for your mom if she likes that scent profile. That is Modern Muse Nuit by Estee Lauder. Now the next fragrance that I'll talk about is Hypnotic Poison by Dior. And the mom in your life may be somewhat familiar with this fragrance. I'm sure she's probably seen it at some point in time. Maybe she already loves it and she's due for another bottle. This one is a cozy vanilla but almond scent, and some people get Play-Doh or root beer from this. I don't totally get that. Maybe a little bit of root beer when I first spray it, but for me it is a seductive perfume. It is a delicious gourmand and one that I really enjoy wearing sort of in the winter months more often. This is a unique vanilla and one to consider if your mom might like this fragrance profile. That is Hypnotic Poison by Dior. All right, the next couple fragrances I've spoken about before. I'll touch on briefly here. They are lovely fragrances. I have Coco Mademoiselle and Coco Mademoiselle Intense, both by Chanel. I'm not gonna belabor these. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here because I have talked about these on my channel before, but I bring them up because they are fantastic options for a mom. This one's a little bit more sparkling. Some people find it to be maybe a little bit more sharp, whereas this one's a little bit deeper, it's warmer, it has a heavier vanilla aspect to it. Both of these are classy, they're alluring, they're intoxicating to my nose, so I didn't want to leave them out. Definitely a consideration when you're thinking about moms that you might want to buy a fragrance for Mother's Day. Chanel is a lovely fragrance to buy them, so one to consider for Mother's Day. That is Coco Mademoiselle and the Intense version by Chanel. All right, next up is Coffee Break, and I bring this one up because there are probably a lot of moms out there who might drink a lot of caffeine to get through the day and stay alert for their children, try to do it all, both for the kids, for work, for everything else that's going on. So I thought this would be a fun one to mention. It may even be sort of a fun fragrance to buy for your mom or the mom that you're buying for. This was a love at first sniff for me. I loved it. But I didn't quite understand what I was smelling at first because the name is Coffee Break by Replica, but it doesn't smell totally like coffee to me. There's sort of a lavender aspect, it's slightly lactonic, but the coffee is there and you sort of get it in the background, and this is one I've grown to love. Spoken about this before, but I do wish I would have bought a full bottle for this. This is one I'm reaching for and I enjoy. I think a mom would enjoy this as well. This one may be a little bit lower on the crowd pleasability continuum. It's not as popular as some of the other fragrances I'm mentioning here, but that sort of makes it unique. And I love that about this fragrance. It is lovely, and I think this one will probably shimmy its way up into my top 10 fragrances. A beautiful one to consider for Mother's Day. That is Coffee Break by Replica. Okay, last up I'm gonna touch on just a few vanillas that I really enjoy and I think a lot of moms would enjoy. The first is Eau Dwell. I have the EDT here, and this is by Diptyque. Now, this was one of the biggest fragrance surprises for me in 2021. I didn't think I would enjoy this fragrance profile. It is a vanilla, but it's vanilla done a little bit differently. It's aromatic, it's fresh, you get sort of the spicy aspect to it, and while I didn't think this would be my cup of tea, it absolutely is. I'm reaching for this, and I find it to be really likable. I've spoken about this before, but bourbon vanilla is in this fragrance, and that's a note that I really seem to enjoy in fragrances. It's in La Nuit Trésor à la Folie, and again, it's done beautifully in this fragrance. Yeah, I think this is one to consider if your mom generally gravitates towards fresher fragrances, but she still really likes vanilla. This is generally likable to my nose. It's one that has a lot of really positive fragrance reviews on Fragrantica, so one to consider if your mom is into that scent profile. This is vanilla done with a twist and really, really a great one. That is Eau Dwell EDT by Diptyque. Now another vanilla that I am madly in love with is Spirituise Double Vanille by Guerlain. And again, this is another vanilla fragrance done differently. It's more of a boozy vanilla. It has benzoin, vanilla, and rum in the base notes, and you definitely get that rum note here. This one lands more on the luxury side of pricing, so it is fairly high price point, but it is sophisticated, it's elegant, and just a lovely scent profile that gives me a lot of joy. It's one that I fell madly in love with fairly quickly. It wasn't a complete love at first sniff, but it grew on me very, very quickly. I explored alternatives because I didn't want to pay the high price point here, and the alternatives that I picked up just didn't meet what I was looking for, and so I ultimately landed on a full bottle here, and I think a lot of moms would like this one too. This is Spirituise Double Vanille by Guerlain. Okay, the last vanilla fragrance and the last fragrance overall that I wanted to touch on for a mom is Kaoli Vanilla 28. And this is another one that is vanilla, but it's vanilla done differently. And I'm really loving all of these different takes on vanilla, the ones that I've spoken about here, but this one too. This one has brown sugar, tonka bean, musk, amberwood, patchouli, and dare I say, I think this one could be considered blind buy worthy. Now, I would use your judgment there. This generally seems like a crowd-pleasing vanilla fragrance to me. Vanilla 28 has a series of beautiful notes in it. I pick up on the brown sugar, the tonka bean that give it a warmth, a depth, and a sweetness that isn't considered to be juvenile. It's sort of a mature sweetness, but it's not a mature fragrance in that it's outdated or anything along those lines. This is a modern fragrance, a modern vanilla, just done differently. It's cozy to me, it's soothing. It's a kind of fragrance you can wear anytime, so I do see somebody choosing this as their signature scent. It may be a little heavy in the summer for some people, not for me. I love this one. I think it would be great for a mom. That is Kaoli Vanilla 28. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video on fragrances that would be excellent Mother's Day gifts. Now, just to reiterate, you do not have to buy the moms in your life a gift to show them you care. There are other ways to do that are free 99, but fragrance is an amazing gift, one that I enjoy and that probably a lot of people would enjoy, and something to consider for your mom. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and until next time, I'll see you soon.